Okay, it looks like it's 11:20, so we'll go ahead and get started. And we are excited today to have not only the director of the Division of Early Literacy, but also the assistant director who works very closely with her, Christie Biggerstaff, who is the director, has a wealth of experience, through her experience as an elementary principal and most recently as chief academic officer at Monroe County Schools. And then Ashley Hill, her assistant director, was the former chief academic officer at Corbin Independent Schools. So we're excited about them joining us today and talking to us about navigating the Read to Succeed Act. I'll turn it over to you all.
All right. Thank you, Ms. Jones. And thank you all so much for being here. I'm going to just jump right into it because 30 minutes is not very long to talk about all the things that we need to show you today. So as Ms. Ashley Hill said, that first slide that talked about our conference, we are so excited about the first ever Kentucky Reads to Succeed conference. So please make preparations now to join us. We are going to have a ton of sessions that will be not only for educators in our state, but administrators in our state. And I know most of you on this call are administrators. So we will have tracks just for you. So please make preparations now and save that date in your calendar. And we will be sending out more information in our early literacy newsletter and in the Commissioner's Monday email messages. So look out for that. All right, let's jump right into it. So anytime we talk about the Reads to Succeed Act, we talk about data, and it kind of grounds us in our why. And I see this data all the time, but it doesn't matter how many times I see it, it always gives me that shock and that jolt of we have got to change things in the state of Kentucky when it comes to literacy. So as you can see on the screen, we have our student demographic groups, subgroups for grade 3 reading, and that was in 2023, the data that was just released. I promise you the data as far back as we can pull. We've looked back to 2014, 2015. It all looks relatively the same, and that means that our data is stagnant, and it across the board looks like this. So as you can see, we have 74% of our Black students in the state of Kentucky reading below proficiency. 74%. It's always shocking to me when I say that number out loud. 62% of our economically disadvantaged, 70% of our English learners, and you can see the other percentages there. We have got to start thinking unconventionally about how we are teaching literacy in the state of Kentucky, because obviously, according to the data you see on your screen, the data that we have pulled way back to 2015, it's all the same. What we have been doing in the state of Kentucky with literacy is not working. So we have to think differently. Again, more data. If you look on the screen, we have the 2022 NAEP data. 32% of our Kentucky fourth graders are proficient or above. When you look at a group of students, as Ms. Ashley is taking away those beautiful faces, you can see what that's left with. We have a large percent of our students that are not reading at proficient levels. So when you see it in picture form, it even again kind of tugs at your heart that we have students that are not meeting that proficiency level, and we are doing a huge disservice to, not on purpose. I'm not pointing the finger at you administrators or me. It is a problem for all of us. So that is where the Read to Succeed Act comes in. It was our answer to doing something different with literacy in the state of Kentucky. It's a different approach. So we're not going to go through all of these different comprehensive actions that Read to Succeed pulls from today, but you can see that there, and we have, if you were not able to join us for the session before this that talked about the Read at Home plan, we have multiple sessions today that are focused on Senate Bill 9, the Read to Succeed Act, and it's all in this strand, in this breakout room. So if you want to know more about those specific things that are on your screen, I guarantee guarantee you there's probably a session about it, so come back and stay with us. But we are going to, for the purposes of this session, talk about different resources that we have created for the Read to Succeed Act. Ashley and I were both district administrators. I was a school principal before that, and an assistant principal and teacher. When I took this role as director of early literacy, it was something that was very important to me, that if we were going to help districts implement the Read to Succeed Act and do it with fidelity, then we needed to give them resources to help support them in that implementation. So it was very important to us, to our team, that we did that. So we have tried very diligently to provide those, and we are creating more. Like, we have a whole scope of resources that we want to put out and want to provide for you so you can implement Senate Bill 9 successfully. So again, just the overarching aspect of the Read to Succeed Act is to support evidence-based early literacy instruction. And we know that there is a vast amount of evidence out there that shows us how the brain learns to read and how we need to teach our students to read. So the first portion that I'm going to talk about today is the screener and diagnostic assessments. Hopefully you've seen that list. We do have an approved list on our early literacy webpage. And we made sure that those, according to the Read to Succeed Act, were valid and reliable assessments. There's a whole host, a frequently asked question document on our website as well. If you have a question about why an assessment maybe was not included on that list, I promise you it probably answers that specific question on that FAQ document. It's not on the screen, but I did want to tell you that we are currently going through a review process of different assessments. We want that to be a yearly process. So we had 5 different assessment companies reach out to us and submit for review. So we're currently in the review process for those screeners and diagnostics. And then if any of that list changes on our approved list of universal screeners and diagnostics, that will be uploaded by the end of February. So check our website out for the most current list of screener and diagnostic assessments, and those changes will be evident by the end of February. We also have a reading improvement plan. That is part of the Read to Succeed Act, and we have provided a template for you we wanted to show you what an exemplar plan, all the pieces and parts that goes into a reading improvement plan, what that looked like. So we have provided a template for you to use. The 2 things that's very important about this template. Number 1, you do not have to use our template. I think it's pretty good, but I'm a little biased. But if your district wants to utilize a different reading improvement plan, they can. Number 2, we wanted to implement the reading improvement plan template this year, and then get any kind of feedback. So if you've been utilizing our template this year and you have any feedback for us, we'll have our contact information at the last screen. Please reach out to us and say, hey, it would be really good if this template had X, Y, and Z. So we would love that feedback from you all, because next school year, our plan is to put that on Infinite Campus for you to utilize. Again, that doesn't mean you have to use our template, but we're going to hopefully, some districts reached out to us and said, hey, it would mean a great deal if you put this on Infinite Campus. We learned that if you put it on Infinite Campus and you make major changes to it, it costs us a lot of money. So we wanted to make sure we got all the kinks worked out before we put that on Infinite Campus. So please reach out to us if you have any kind of feedback for us. The Read at Home Family Guide and Family Plan, it was the session before us. Miss Whitney Hamilton from our team talked about it and did a fantastic job. That has a whole host of activities. Again, those activities in the Read at Home Family Guide, our parents, it was really important to us that we did not push parents to have to buy anything, to have to cut anything out, to have to do anything that would be above and beyond just understanding the Read at Home and understanding the activities they could do with their kids. We do have, we linked the Read at Home Spanish version, but as Ms. Whitney said before me, we do have the top 5 spoken languages in the schools of Kentucky. We have those translated documents on our website as well. So if you would like a document and you've not seen that, because that was updated probably within the last couple of months. So if you've not seen that, those are there as well. And that's it. We can go on to the next slide, Miss Ashley. Something that's kind of been a really hot topic here lately. I've been getting a lot of emails in the last couple of months about Senate Bill 156. So Senate Bill 156 changed language in KRS 158305, which is where the Kentucky Reads to Succeed Act is housed within that KRS. And so it basically states that each superintendent shall adopt a common comprehensive reading program. And what Senate Bill 156 did is it had a word flip, and it's a really important word flip. That shall you see on your screen used to be may. But now it says shall, meaning that we have to adopt a common comprehensive reading program, a tier 1 comprehensive program in literacy that's reliable, valid, and aligned to reading and writing standards. And then that is for all kindergarten through grade 3 with Senate Bill 156. We do have some resources that will allow you to adopt, and that is the Reading and Writing Instructional Resource Consumer Guide. It is a very well laid out guide that will help districts think about their local context. And I'll get to the meat of that. Basically, an HQIR, high quality instructional resource, is deemed high quality if it is green rated on Ed Reports. So we push districts to look at those green rated resources. Now, I will have to say, not all green rated resources are equal. I just want to put that out there. If you're looking to adopt, reach out to somebody in the Division of Early Literacy. We would love to talk to you more about HQIRs. Allison Gregory, here in just a little while, is having a specific session on HQIRs and literacy. So please check out her session if that is of interest to you. She talks about all the things HQIR and does a wonderful job leading our administrators through that. So just think about that in terms of not all green rated resources are equal. We want a good knowledge building curriculum. It takes the lift from your teachers, guys, and Allison will get into more of that later, but it will take the heavy lift off of your teachers if you give them a good high quality instructional resource. Okay. And then why we talk about HQIRs is because we want to prevent issues instead of intervening with issues. If you look on the screen, and I won't read all of that to you, just zoom down to that bottom line. If we have to intervene with a student in 3rd grade and up, it takes around 90 minutes to 3 hours a day. Administrators, you know this. We do not have teachers in our building that has 90 minutes to 3 hours a day to intervene with a student. They just don't have the time. So if we really parlay our efforts into prevention and putting in a HQIR and all of the things that Read to Succeed Act allows us to do, then we can hopefully stop and not have to intervene with our students. And on the next slide, you will see when it comes to HQIR in total, you really need all of those pieces. You need a common instructional vision. You need an HQIR. An HQIR cannot just be handed to our teachers and said, here's a curriculum, go forth and teach. You have to give that high quality professional learning. They have to deliver high quality instruction, and that will give us the improved student experiences and outcomes. I'm now going to hand it over to Ashley, and she's going to talk a little bit more about instructional time.
Thank you, Christy. So what you're seeing on the slide now is all about instructional time. It is a precious commodity. And if you are in a school building, you know that. Time is always what we're fighting up against. So when teachers do not have a high quality instructional resource in their hands, they spend approximately 7 to 12 hours a week or 250 hours per year developing or selecting their own instructional resources. Now, let's think about that. Where are they going to find these resources? Well, they're going to good old Google, right? We're going to Google, we're going to go to Pinterest, we're going to go to Teachers Pay Teachers. This is not the teacher's fault. This is no one's fault. Again, I'm going to reiterate what Christy said. But the problem with that is that you're getting resources that probably have not been vetted, that may not even be aligned to the standard or the grade level, which is going to cause inequities in instruction in your school. So if you look at this, this is actually these numbers are from the Opportunity Myth, which was put out by TNTP in 2018, and they have a new study coming out this spring. But anyway, what they found is that students are succeeding about 71% of the time on their assignments. So about 71% of the students are receiving a C or above, right? So that sounds okay, good, like they're getting it, right? But when you closely examine some of those assignments that were being given in this study, only 17% of those assignments met grade level. So let's think about that. That does create a myth of opportunity. If I'm doing well in school, if I'm scoring C's or above, that sounds great. But when I get to college and see that I had less rigorous assignments, then that's going to cause me to maybe have some issues as I'm transitioning from, grade levels to grade levels. So let's think about, okay, what is the definition of high quality instructional resources? You hear HQIR all the time. Sometimes you might hear it called HQIM, which is high quality instruction materials. Some states do that, but of course we do HQIR here in Kentucky. So first and foremost, it has to be aligned with the Kentucky academic standards. Now, let me say this. On Ed Reports, if it's rated green on alignment, it's because 80% or more of the program aligns to the Kentucky academic standards. So keep that in mind. We know that no program is going to be the magic fix for everything, but that is what constitutes a green rated resource in the alignment category. Has to be research-based or externally validated. So this is where you get into problems as a teacher. If you're trying to find things, not only does it take up your time, but again, you're probably going to get some things that are not backed by research or not externally validated. And again, that causes inequities across the school. Also, it has to be comprehensive to include all those engaging texts. So the interdisciplinary literacy practices from the Kentucky Academic Standards for Reading and Writing tells us that that text is anything that conveys meaning. Okay, so that doesn't mean that it always has to be literal words on a page, right? There are other things that convey meaning: video clips, speeches, political cartoons. I mean, we could go on, but we want these these HQIRs to have all of that in there. It's almost like text sets, like all of these texts are centered around the same topic. And that's really what we would like to see in an HQIR. Next, it's based on fostering vibrant student learning experiences. And so if you think about a curriculum that or resources that give you that really go deep into these knowledge building categories, it's very easy for teachers and administrators to be able to kind of like enhance that a little bit with some experiences. I'm going to give a quick example. In my former district, they use CKLA. There is a first grade unit about medical professionals. And a couple of years ago, they had a medical professionals day once they finished that unit. And like ambulances came in for students to look at, fire trucks, like nurses, doctors, that kind of thing. And so we were really able to have those vibrant experiences based on what it was we were learning in reading. Next, culturally relevant, free from bias. Of course, we need to think about windows and mirrors. Kids need to see themselves, but they also need to see other people that maybe don't look like them or act like them in text as well. And then lastly, accessible for all students. So we need entry points for everyone. All right, we're going to do a little activity. Okay, I want everyone to take about 30-45 seconds and read this, and then I'm going to ask you what the central idea is. So I'm going to be quiet. Go ahead and read.
Ashley, could we have them to put their answer, what they think the central idea is, in the chat?
Absolutely. So if you will, in the chat, put what you think the central idea is. Now, central idea, if you're not familiar, is an RI or an RI being like the informational texts. So this is the one that used to be called main idea, but is now called central idea.
Be brave.
Yeah, what they talk
No.
about. What is the main idea? Abby Labor is thinking. She's trying so hard. Let's see a couple more maybe, and then we can talk about what the actual central message is. Anybody else? Ooh, croquet. Okay. No clue. I want to quit. That's Allison. Amanda Cornell, 2 overnight batsmen were important. Okay. All right. So let's think about this. This is an actual article that appeared in an English newspaper, and it is all about the sport cricket. Okay. So if you've ever played the sport cricket, you would probably know what this means. Okay. Now, as far as decoding, I can read every single word on this page. Okay. My, proficient readers can read this, but if I don't have that background knowledge to ground it in, then I'm going to struggle making sense of this. And so that's why we talk so much of knowledge building HQIR, or knowledge building high quality instructional resources. So here are some things that you might consider when you're thinking about a knowledge building curriculum. It's obviously going to expand access to rich texts that build knowledge. It's going to grow students' vocabulary and their background knowledge. It's going to engage them in deep learning and meaning experiences. So think about this. A knowledge building curriculum typically spends 4 to 6 to 8 weeks on one topic. So imagine about all the background knowledge you can attain as a student during the course of that. And so you're really going to have things to anchor to. It gives read alouds a central role, supports students in applying strategies for sense making, and it safeguards science and social studies. So let's think about that. In our elementary schools, we have science and social studies standards from K up, right? But think about how often science and social studies gets pushed to the wayside because it's math and reading all the time. So if you choose a knowledge building curriculum, it's going to have science and social studies in there as well. So it's not like a student gets to 4th grade and that's the first time they've ever heard this science term, or a student gets to 5th grade and it's the first time they've ever heard this history. So knowledge building, high quality instructional resources are very, very important. If you go to the Knowledge Matters .org, knowledgematterscampaign.org, I believe, that entity has a list of a bunch of knowledge building curriculums. Now, I'm not saying that every single one of them is green rated, okay, but that might be a good place to look to see if you can kind of start looking at and finding these knowledge building HQIR. All right, so resources to support implementation. You are going to have you already have the PDF version of this, so hopefully all the links work. But these are some resources that you're going to find on our webpage, our early literacy webpage, which is an offshoot of the KDE website. We know the KDE website is hairy, right? It can be a little bit tricky at times. So what I'm going to do is, thank you, Allison. What I'm going to do is show you how you would navigate to get to our page. Okay. Now, if all else fails, do good old Google, Kentucky Department of Education Early Literacy. It's probably going to come up. But if I go to the KDE website, you're going to see across the top, there's lots of different tabs that you can select. So if you will click Standards Content Area, it's going to show you a page. Let's see where I went. Standards Content Area, and yeah, here we go. All right, so it's going to open it up, this drop-down menu, and we're all the way on the bottom. Do you see where it says early literacy? So that's where you would click. And when you click there, it's going to come up with our landing page. So our landing page gives you 4 options on the side. Okay, so you can look at those screening assessments that Christie alluded to earlier. You can look at letters, Kentucky Reading Academies. You can see the phases there and some dates. Then you have your early literacy resources, and then structured literacy, right? Because that is like what we're trying to change to. We're trying to shift our instruction to structured. So I'm going to just pretend that I clicked on resources, okay? And so when I click on resources, what comes up on the side, on the right-hand side, Senate Bill 9, right? That's what everything's based on. really it's called the Read to Succeed Act because those numbers are like recycled every year. So we really want to call it the Read to Succeed Act. So we probably might even need to change that on there. But what you can see is an archive of all of our early literacy newsletters. And Whitney Hamilton, who presented just before us, she is our overseer of our website. And so she is always looking for things to improve or add or that sort of thing. So just know that those archived newsletters are there. And then on the left-hand side, I couldn't fit it all on one screen, sorry. On the left-hand side is the resource quick link. So I can quickly get to some of these resources that I need. And as Christy said earlier, here are the 5 most spoken languages other than English in Kentucky. And so we have read at home plans for each of those. Okay. All right, so I'm going to stop here because we are very close to the end. So I want you to take just a moment to think about the information you've been presented, okay? In the chat box, list one resource or idea from today that you commit to explore further. So go ahead and place those in the chat now.
As you're thinking and doing, I do want to give a couple of shameless plugs. Number one, after I think it's Wayne Young is speaking from 12 to 12:30. In this room, we are going to have a member of the Division of Early Literacy, Tara Griffith and Marsha Ward, talk about instructional practice guides. That will be an awesome discussion, so don't miss that. That is a key document and will help you improve literacy practices in your school. And then after them will be Allison Gregory and Tara. They're going to be talking about the power of a high quality instructional resource. They will delve into HQIRs a lot more than we just touched upon in our session. And then Amelia Powers is going to talk about the knowledge building curriculum. Again, much more in depth than we just gave the quick overview today. So check them out. And then we showed you the Kentucky Reading Academies. We are going to offer a 3rd cohort of letters training. We're receiving a lot of very positive feedback about letters in the state of Kentucky. We have over 4,000 educators in letters training currently, which is amazing. But we want them all. We want everybody, all of our educators and administrators for elementary to take this. It is a heavy lift. We don't have a session about letters today, so I wanted to say this. It is a heavy lift. Letters for educators is 2 years. Letters for administrators is 1 year. It is imperative. All of our data is showing, guys, that if you are an administrator and you have educators in your school taking letters for educators, it is imperative to have a support system in place for those educators. So take the Letters for Administrators course. Allison Gregory, who I think is in here and offering a session later today, does a support group for Letters for Administrators. And it's not just a support group as in mental, but she gives you physical resources too. I think the mental aspect is probably there for administrators, but reach out to her if you would like to be involved in that. She does a great job of putting that through an administrator lens and how you can support your educators in your building. So offering another cohort that will open up in late spring. That cohort registration will be on our Kentucky Reading Academy's website that Ashley just showed you. So please check into that. If you've never heard of Letters for Educators or Administrators, reach out to us. We'll tell you all about it. It's an amazing professional learning opportunity. So there is our contact information. Thank you all so much for your participation today. And I see several people have put HQIR in the chat box, Ashley, which is encouraging.
I know, it's made me so happy. I wanted to highlight some of these. And I love that someone said, Misty Loxton, not all green rated resources are created equal. So we really have to spend the time to delve into those and really find out if that's, good for our context. Vanessa Vanover said she's loving her letters for admin training. That makes us so happy. Using curriculum to build knowledge, also using all resources available. Guys, these are wonderful insights that you've come up with. And I know we have talked like the micro machine guy, like blah, 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 right? But thank you all so, so much for listening and seeing and then committing to some sort of action on behalf of your school and your students. It is a wonderful, wonderful thing when we can invest in our students. So again, like Christy said, there is our contact information. Please reach out to us with any question. We want to make sure everybody knows about all the resources and that we can be resources to you as well. Good. Brooke Mays is interested in letters for admin. Christy, do you want to wrap this up?
Yeah.
Oh, go ahead, Allison.
No, I was just going to say, guys, I'll continue to push on leaders in the state that it's not enough to just tell teachers to sign up. You have to communicate the why and the what of letters. And there's no better way to do that than for you to go through the admin, at the very least, letters for admin. So you know what your teachers are learning. We've got to be learning leaders as well. I'm a pusher, so I'm going to step on your toes.
She steps on ours too. It's not just you.
Yeah, no. Guys, thank you all so much for
Thank
coming
you all.
today. And like Christy said, selfishly, if you want to hang out on this channel, you're going to hear all kinds of early literacy stuff. So thank you all so much.